107.9, Atlanta's #1 hip-hop station. Hey, gorgeous, it's me at Mo Quick ATL right here on The Mo Show. And I have a bit of black excellence in here with me today. His name is Miguel Wilson. Some of you who may not be as into fashion may not know, but this man has been moving and grooving through the back scenes, trying to put us, and by us I do mean the black and the browns, on a whole new pedestal. How you doing, Miguel?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
I am doing awesome, man.
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming. I mean, obviously, it worked out in a weird way, but you're here. We won't tell the backstory of how we met.
That's how God works.
So let's talk about the real reason that you have a super dope fashion and polo classic here in Atlanta every year.
Yes. I'm so excited. This is our 4th year doing it. Bentley Atlanta has been our sponsors every year.
Smart
and
people.
We're happy to have all of Rick Ross brands this year. Bel Air Champagne, Bumbu Rum, Galan. Yeah, and of course, a lot of other black brands such as Uncle Nearest, Whiskey Right, and Redmont Vodka. So this is black excellence for sure.
And let me tell you guys, it sounds lavish, but if you understand the reason why this classic is being put together, you'll truly understand what we mean when we say we are trying to take us somewhere. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so, when I created the Fashion Polo Classic, it was because I felt, number one, that I wanted to be able to expose our community to polo with our culture in mind, though. Because a lot of times when they do, you hear polo events and things of that nature, it's usually with more of European culture.
Mm-hmm.
My tagline is where class and culture connect. So we specialize in black businesses. We have, like I said, we serve black-owned spirits. We have our own DJs. We have our own chefs. And we even have black pilots. We have helicopters, so you can fly in on a helicopter.
I heard you get to have a ride, a helicopter ride.
You can come to the party.
What?
And I'll tell you something. If you haven't done that before, everybody needs to at least come to a party on a helicopter at least once.
Ooh, child. Okay, we haven't got to the good part yet, y'all. The good part, the reason why my smile is from ear to ear. Did you guys know that, and I'm sure you did, Miguel Wilson is actually trying to set up some polo teams for a community that we like to call the Boys and Girls Club.
Yes.
And a lot of us hear this name. A lot of us grew up in some Boys and Girls Club. But if you know about the Boys and Girls Club, you understand that most of the communities they served are extremely underprivileged.
Exactly.
They don't know nothing about no polo.
Exactly.
When they hear polo, they think of your boy, what's the polo man? What's
Ralph
his name?
Lauren, maybe.
Come on. Yeah. And I wasn't even going to go with Ralph Lauren. I was going to go with T.I.'s friend.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Polo Don.
Child, they don't even think about that.
Right, exactly. So I was fortunate enough to grow up in Washington, D.C. and got exposed to horses as a kid. That exposure changed my life. I remember just going the ride out to the farm was de-stressing for me, coming from a community that was very rough and challenging. So going out to that farm really just gave me something to look forward to every week. So I understand what kids growing up in certain communities live with every day, and also understand the power of being exposed to something that can change you forever.
Ever.
Once you see something, once you do something,
yes,
you can never unsee it or undo it.
And that's why they often call them a product of their environment, because that's all they see around.
Exactly. So the exposure is also to the people. You got to realize in the polo community, there's a lot of wealth, as you can imagine. It's called the king's sport for a reason. But the ability to have kids go out and ride, change them, but to meet the people, because these people don't go to the hood. So we're going to take the kids to where they are at the farms. So that whole opportunity, we created and funded the first black college polo team at Morehouse. It's the first and only team accredited by the United States Polo Association. And our foundation, Rise to the Olympics, was co-founders for that team.
So let's pause right there on Ride to the Olympics. We're going to come back. Of course, Miguel Wilson is still in the building with us. It's Hot 107.9. You're on the Mo Show, so don't move, Atlanta gorgeous.
After all these years, there had never been a polo team. And frankly, when we endeavored to do it, I didn't realize that we were embarking on something for the first time. It was my motivation for doing it was to have college-age black men that could mentor the younger kids we bring through the program, so that they could look up to kids in college and see that. So
So you always thought about the Boys and Girls Club when you were thinking about
I've
polo?
always thought about the kids and just the Boys and Girls Club. You know, I had experience working for them while I was in college. I worked for the girls clubs, and I was just so impacted by that experience. Probably one of the most rewarding jobs I've ever had.
True.
I felt like I was really making a difference in a lot of kids' lives, and so it's just natural for me to go back to them and try to do something with the kids that I had a relationship with. Well, not them, but that organization.
Yeah. So tell me about growing up in D.C. How was your life like when you were younger?
I grew up in Washington when it was Chocolate City.
Okay, I heard about Chocolate City.
So when they called it Chocolate City, let me give you an example. I didn't know a white person.
In all of D.C.?
No, where I grew up, I didn't know anybody outside of black culture. I didn't know of any other nationalities. We were just black. It was Chocolate City. Exactly. When I grew up in Washington, it was like that, and it was rough. It was kind of like being in the jungle, if you will.
Oh man.
But this environment, a lot of young men grew up in today, and that's the problem I see is that we grow up in these environments, and we have to operate as if we live in the jungle, and then we get brought into civilization,
society, right?
Then expected to act differently. So,
and we're in survival mode the whole time.
Survival mode, yeah, exactly. The things you got to do to survive in those environments are very different than the expectations of people who operate in civilized worlds. So.
And now you look like the epitome of what civilization looks like.
Right. Thank God. But it was just I credit a lot of people and the opportunity, exposure to being shown something very different than everybody else in my neighborhood. So a lot of guys didn't make it because of that lack of exposure. So I just think that if we can get kids between 8 and 18 and give them an opportunity, show them something different, who knows? I mean, some may go on to become veterinarians. Some may decide to be professional. Let me tell you something. Everybody can't play basketball and football in the hood.
Come on.
So think about this for a second. How many potential professional polo players are there in our hoods? Nobody would have thought we had professional golfers.
Tennis players.
Tennis players, yeah, exactly. So we, it's all a matter of exposure and opportunity. So once we give our community that exposure and opportunity, you will see greatness arise. So I think, that's probably one of the sexiest games you can be a professional in. I mean,
on the horse?
Polo, oh my God. Let me tell you something. If you're a professional polo player, chances are you're playing with Prince Charles.
Because you called it the king sport, right?
So yeah, exactly. It's a global sport. Like I was invited to play with the South African team. I was invited over to play in the African Open, and they just found me because I was playing polo here, and so it's such a unique, rare thing.
Were you the only black man on the field? Like, who exposed you, and how did that journey take you?
So, riding horses created the interest in polo. I was always intrigued by the game, and one day I just said, I was a grown man at this point. I said, I'm going to try polo, and I just took some polo lessons.
Really?
Yeah, I just went and called a local barn and took some lessons, and
interesting.
And then it just kind of went from there. I really started it was such a challenging sport, and so difficult that but I hate feeling like I'm let something conquer me. I wasn't going to let the sport beat me. So
determined.
I was determined to become good at it. I'm still not good, but I'm still determined to be good.
But somebody thought you was good if South Africa calling you.
Well, they called to invite me and the Morehouse team to come over and play, and this was right before COVID, so the COVID situation killed that opportunity. But I've been in communications with them, and definitely we probably get out over there and play. So the thing is, it's big all around the world, and not so big in the States per se, but you can find polo in most major cities.
And some people, the ignorance, it takes us over. But when we think Africa, we don't think about no polo.
Yeah.
We don't think about riding horses and hitting the ball on the ground. That seems like a rich man's sport.
Yes, but you understand they in Africa are more globally minded. So their exposure to things can be a lot more than ours here in the States. So they get to see things, and they travel, and if you go to Europe, a lot of polo play over there. So and then South America is huge.
It is.
Huge. Argentina is the #1 country for polo.
Is it?
Yeah, so you have the top players in the world.
Right in our downstairs, in our basement.
Yeah, exactly. So, I just think that, we got some kids out there that if they develop the passion for the game, who could go on and become professional players. You don't have to become professional to be exposed and for your life to be changed. It's just the fact that you now understand this. If you play the most difficult game ever, and you'll get a confidence level to do any and everything else. There's nothing you can't do at that point.
That's reach for the clouds and fall in the stars.
I like that. Exactly. So we taking them to the most unthinkable level of sport, access to something that is unthinkable, and then now when this is done, it's like, okay, well, there's nothing else. And the conversation that these kids can have from that point forward is very different with everyone. And the conversation is one of intrigue and excitement and confidence at this point too. So you develop a confidence level that I can do a lot of things now.
Absolutely. And honestly, I want to talk about you and Atlanta culture. You mentioned to me that you were from DC, right? Mm-hmm. But here in Atlanta, you have a name that makes even the less younger boys and more of the young men looking to aspire. You know, a lot of us, we didn't come from what we want to be. You know, we come from our environment, and right. We hope to be able to be in a position such as yourself, wearing a fine suit and with a fine young woman next to you. And we say, how can we do that? Or they're saying, how can I become that? You have shaped the excellence here in our city, and a lot of men want to get close to you in order so that they can also feel excellent. And even when it comes to your fashion and your fashion weekend, we'll call it a whole weekend, do you often get approached by mentees, men trying to get mentored by you?
Yes, quite often, and I'm always eager to assist and help younger, particularly designers. You know, I'm a fashion designer by trade, and I've been blessed to, it's one of the most difficult industries to really break in, particularly as a black designer.
I can imagine.
But some great things have been happening in fashion. I'm seeing a shift of where people are starting to look for black brands to wear, and I was fortunate enough to, do a lot of big weddings. One of which was for 2 Chainz. I did his clothes for his wedding, and then recently he actually did a verse on me in one of his most recent songs.
Oh, he said your name?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
Our community is. Just think about this historically. When it comes to T-shirts, we're fine with giving black designers a $5 T-shirt money. But when it comes to the $300, $400, we're going to give it to Gucci. And
the money doesn't leave our hands as quickly for some reason.
For us. So what I'm seeing, though, and this is why I'm doing this luxury event, specializing in black businesses, so that people can see that we are capable of doing something on a luxurious level. With our culture, we don't have to conform. Our music is good enough. Our food is good enough. The way we dress is good enough. We are good enough for each other, and it's done in a luxurious way. It's not something that we always think of ourselves and think, okay,
ratchet.
It's black, so it's got to be.
Why? Why are blacks associated with ratchetness, and why do we associate ourselves with ratchetness?
Well, I'm saying that I see a shift, and this is what happens. I think that we have to experience excellence amongst each other to understand it exists. So when you come to the Atlanta Fashion and Polo Classic and you see people landing in helicopters, and you see Bentleys picking them up, and you see the food, and you're drinking spirits created by black brands, and you taste the food and you listen to the music, you can't help but be changed and think of us differently.
Absolutely.
So this is the whole thought process I've had about, just as a fashion designer, I'm in Phipps Plaza, which is one of the few black designers in Phipps. I have stores in New York, DC, and Miami, and all of them in very nice, upscale locations, environments. So I cater to luxury and guys who want something phenomenal. The thing is, we need to have an expectation of now I need to seek out each other to do business with. So this is part of my motivation in doing all this.
And that's good, because a lot of men, like I said, they're looking to you for that. How hard was it for you? Obviously, if this culture is being created, it wasn't there when you got here. So how hard was it for you?
Well, the thing is, in fashion, I went through my bumps and bruises. I filed bankruptcy 10 years ago.
Wow.
Had a brand, closed it down, and in my rebuild, thinking through who I wanted to be, I knew I wanted to be a well-known fashion designer. And the thing is, to do that, you have to have a lane in which people will know you for. So developing that lane and understanding, okay, what am I doing differently than it's out there? So for me, it was creating beautiful wedding attire for men.
Oh, you started in wedding designs.
That's where 90% of my clients come from today.
Oh, wow.
I didn't start doing wedding design. I was in business 20 years before I came up with this concept. I was doing suits I did a lot of pastors. I've done, everybody, T.D. Jakes, Jamal Bryant. I've done suits for all of them. I'm doing guys like that 20, 25 years ago. I was doing these suits. So in me realigning myself with who I wanted to be is when I came with the concept that there's a hole that's not being filled in the market for men wanting to look great on their wedding day. Women would spend thousands of dollars on their gowns, knowing they're gonna wear it one day, and this guy would go rent a tuxedo that he could wear every day. He could wear more, for years.
But they always in the renting.
Yeah, in the renting thing. So the thing is now, it's a culture of guys that want to look phenomenal. They care more. Think about it from this perspective. The wedding is probably the biggest party most guys want to throw.
Okay.
In their lifetime.
Because men don't do that.
You don't throw parties. I mean, this is probably one of the biggest parties you're going to throw. You're going to spend a lot more money on this party than you will probably any other party.
True.
You should look like it. You should look like it's your party. Okay? And that's one of the things I always, the thought process. You don't want other people to come out dressing you for your party.
You can't, right?
Exactly.
And that's kind of crazy. Well, my husband, Greg, he's a scientist, right?
Yes.
And I'm a radio
A
personality.
well-dressed one, I may add.
That is my point. Like, he doesn't even have to be as dressed as he is to pretty much anything we go to or anything. Right. He's just always on point. And that's the culture I think you're referring to. And I feel like instead of even getting dressed for an event, he and his group of friends, they're trying to make it a everyday thing. When we go out, this is how we are going to present ourselves. Right. This is who we want to be looked at and perceived upon.
Right. I met your husband when I did Variety Simmons' wedding.
We don't say that name on the station.
Okay.
When you did the other guys.
I'm sorry, I did the guys' wedding. Okay. So anyway, I did and I noticed how sharp he was. I said, man, I would love for you to model for me. And he just looked.
And he's not even anything.
Yeah, exactly. So I've often seen guys who on the street that I thought could wear my brand well and made them into models.
How does that make you feel, allowing yourself to put someone on a pedestal or a platform?
It's great because, I'm giving guys opportunities they otherwise wouldn't have.
Absolutely.
So that's a lot of fun. And think, the thing is, the appreciation they have, the love the guys will show you that, and right now it's a lot of men that and women who I've been able to use my platform to assist. This Polo Classic situation is a prime example. We have 3 fashion shows, and we feature many designers and giving them a platform where you have a Bentley as a sponsor, you have Polo
cars that they've never been even able to get into.
Right. Well, you can get them in there because we use it for shuttle service.
They keep talking
drive
about
around here. So it's beautiful, man, to be able to, even with the black spirits, they're unheard of. And finally, now you're in this luxurious environment where people can taste and see how excellent you really are. And I tell people all the time, these are brands you need to have at home when you shop. Period.
If you're going to have this Heineken, if you're going to have this Douce or whatever, I don't drink, side note. But if you're going to have all these guys, and even down to the Gucci belts and the Coach bags, we should do that for us.
Right. Exactly. But, it's about, for us, we have to seek us out.
Unfortunately.
So, so I'm giving us a platform where it's easier to be sought out, easier for you to be having access and exposure. So Polo Classics is a special event, and it definitely has launched a lot of people's modeling careers, business careers, and I think you're going to see a lot of great, taste a lot of good food and drinks this year.
And it's going to be a great network in that thing,
absolutely.
too. And I'm excited. So, first and foremost, for anybody in the car, maybe you're feeling regular. I'm too regular for that. I'm not luxurious enough for that. What do you have to say to them?
I say you owe it to yourself to experience things. For me, personally, That's what it's about. I want to give people an experience. You can go somewhere and do something, but you experiencing something is very different because it affects you long term. You'll remember when you look back at your life and say the highlights of this year. Every year you need to have some type of highlights. Fashion Polo Classic will be a highlight in your year. Something you'll never forget. Most of us have never seen a polo match.
Chad, I still trying to figure out. So is it that one or what is?
With the horses, okay? Like,
I know, I'm kidding.
Yeah, but think about this for a second. My first 2 years doing this, I was the only black polo player.
Wow.
This year I have 8, including this young lady right here.
You are not, are you? Oh, that's scary.
So I got my fiance polo lessons now. She's been playing, so we're gonna have her debut game at the Polo Classic.
That is so fun.
Yeah, so it's exciting. And I have several black players flying in from California, from Arizona, from DC. So you're gonna see it everywhere, just exposed. So I'm so excited about that. I'm gonna have a few players from my Morehouse team playing,
I love it.
as well as I have a girls team, college girl team, a couple girls that attend Spelman.
Oh, Spelman.
And yeah, they'll be playing.
What about the Clark ladies and the Clark men?
I'm open.
Aren't you a grad?
I am, and I want some. It's the thing is it's difficult. See, at girls' college, you have girls that rode horses before. They have
A little bit of everything.
yeah, they're more excited about stuff. It's hard finding black males. That's why I really doing the Boys and Girls Club team situation.
Exposure.
Is going to be able to lead us to some college level playing kids.
Absolutely, because like you said, I'm telling you, one experience can change your whole life. Whatever course you're on, you get one good experience, you're on a whole new path. So, MiguelWilson.com, that's where we can go ahead and...
Yeah, on my Instagram, Miguel Wilson Collection.